Welcome back to Property Playbook. We're your hosts, Elena Saradidis.
And Erica Reddy-Choquette.
And today we have a spicy one.
We do.
We're talking, is my agent crazy for telling me to list the price, list my home for this price?
Yes. I'm kidding. No, I mean, actually, it depends because your agent can be crazy because there are situations where agents just say, what do you want to sell for? And yep, sure, no problem. And then that thing sits and it sits and it sits and it sits. And they are crazy because you're like, that's not the right price. Now, the problem is the right price is not normally what the seller wants to hear.
Exactly. So I think managing sellers' expectations from the start is very important. But the other thing that we need to talk about is there's usually 3 pricing strategies. And I don't know if you also follow the same kind of guidelines, but you jump in at any time.
Okay.
But basically,
I want to hear your 3. Then I can stay. I would normally say there's 2 pricing strategies. So this is where I'm like the third.
There's 3.
Here
There's actually 3.
Buckle up, everybody.
The first one is aspirational pricing. And this is what happens when the seller is like, I actually want the earth, the stars, and the moon price.
Oh, this is why I have 2 prices.
Yeah.
We have no aspirational. We just have 2 prices. The aspirational, I'm like, sayonara. It doesn't happen.
Well, I explained the pricing strategy because people are like, my neighbors listed for this. Like, I want to know what happened. So aspirational pricing, it usually sits on the market for the longest amount of time. So if on average, the houses in your neighborhood or the condos in your building or whatever are selling for 15 days, listing at an aspirational price is going to double, if not triple, the amount of time you're on the market. Now, if you're lucky and you find,
keyword,
lucky, the one buyer that's willing to pay more than market value for your home, you will sell. If not, you will sit on the market for a long period of time until the market catches up with you or until you do a price adjustment.
Yes. So effectively, you're looking for a unicorn because you are a unicorn.
Exactly.
Got it.
Second pricing is you price a little bit below what the last one sold for. It creates enough excitement to get people in the door, and if you get 1 or 2 offers, you're gonna end up getting more than the other person regardless, but you will sell, and you'll sell in the right amount of time that you should sell in. And the third one is feeding frenzy pricing.
Drum roll.
Feeding frenzy. This is when you price the property below market value.
Significantly.
And you create so much action, so much attraction that you bring people in the door like it is the house to go inside of. And you create a bidding war to the point where you sell in the least amount of time for the most amount of money. Now, every single pricing strategy can come with like pros and cons.
Absolutely.
Sometimes feeding frenzy pricing does not work. Sometimes listing a little bit below like what the last one sold for won't work. And sometimes aspirational pricing, which in my opinion is the least likely to work, does not work.
Well, especially in today, I think the big thing too is all these pricing strategies, they have their time and their place, but it also requires understanding that the market that you're transacting in, because an aspirational price in some markets can frankly work. A bidding war, feeding frenzy, absolute utter chaos because there's 40 buyers knocking down the door can work. It just depends on what market we're in. And even within the Toronto market right now, we're seeing the feeding frenzy, crazy multiples in certain pockets still work because there's just not enough supply to match the demand. But in other cases, you put the bidding war out and it's like crickets and you're wondering where the buyers are. So not only do the pricing strategies vary, but they also vary within the market. You know, from almost one neighborhood to another, you could have one strategy to the other and success or not, depending on what you're doing.
And it also varies what type of product you have.
Yes.
So you can be in a market, like for example, and I'm using this is why this is the topic this week, by the way.
I see.
Welcome to me bringing it in.
Okay.
I have a client right now that we were debating on pricing, and I brought other agents into the property just to be like, I have a house coming up in your pocket. Come take a look at it and let me know what your thoughts are. So I brought people in and I told them originally, I'm thinking $699. I'm gonna list it for $699. It's a house. It's in the Junction area, a little off of St. Clair, for $699, and we're gonna create a feeding frenzy. But I didn't just say this is what we're gonna do. Why did we pick this strategy? We picked this strategy because A, houses in the neighborhood are not selling right now. They're sitting like crickets. 90 days, 100 days, 70 days, everything is sitting. So if we list like we would normally list, the same thing is gonna happen to us. We're gonna sit.
Absolutely.
Now, I renovated the property. So we made it look amazing, which you cannot do a feeding frenzy, I don't believe, unless the market is so hot.
Oh, no, I
if
agree.
the house is not right.
And I mean, we've covered this in a lot of past episodes. So if you're kind of at that point where you're joining in and you're going, what do we do? Go back a few and listen to the staging and the process and the prep, because you're not doing, frankly, any of these strategies, in my opinion, without the process and the prep. But especially if you're going to be kind of out there and really push the boundaries, especially in this market, you need to be like 100 and 100 and 100 and 100 and 100, I don't even know, percent there. Like, you got to be ready.
You have to be perfect.
Yeah.
So it also comes down to like, okay, well, if we're going to do everything, we have to actually do everything.
Yeah.
So like, we prepped this house to be a show ready home. It is perfect for the market. Now, it is a property that, where else in Toronto are you going to find a house for $699 that is detached, that has garage, that's a 2-bedroom plus 1? That's a rare product.
Oh, for sure. That's an alarming number that kind of has people be like, I always reference that IKEA commercial where it's like, start the car.
Yeah.
You kind of need that reaction because there's not a lot that's getting momentum under buyers right now. And so you need the price that has them be like, what am I missing?
So, and the reason why I argued for this price was because I'm like, if someone's sitting there and like, I'm thinking about a condo, I'm thinking about a house, I'm thinking about whatever, this is the hybrid. You're getting your foot into the market. You have an actual house. Bonus, it's detached. Bonus, it has a garage. In this market, that should be enough of a feeding frenzy to get it sold. And I remember the first moment I told my client $699, he turned to me and he was like, my wife's gonna freak. That's what he said to me. My wife's going to freak.
Sure.
And I had to explain to them the 3 pricing strategies. And I basically said, for the market that we're currently in, for your specific situation, because they have their eye on a property they already want to buy, we need to sell your property in the least amount of time for the most amount of money possible so you can go and buy that house. Mm-hmm. If you want that, then we have to go, or at least try this strategy first.
Because worst case, here's the thing I always say to people. These strategies seem crazy and scary and almost to the point that I feel like people look at me and you and go, are you sure you know what you're doing? And you're like, no, but I do. I really do. Hear me out. But even if you exercise that strategy and it doesn't work, you cancel, you relist, you pivot. You come right back out at the price that you were hoping for and you drive on. And that normally is enough to get the cycle going the next day to still get it sold.
And the funny thing, and the thing that people don't realize, it is easier to move the price up than it is to move the price down. So the moment you're up on the market and you use that aspirational price, or you use whatever pricing you'd like to use, and then you're sitting on the market, what happens? You do a price adjustment, a price adjustment, a price adjustment. But what actually happens to the home? It's not a new, shiny thing.
Stale.
So isn't it the best course of action that when it looks amazing, it's a showstopper home, you're putting it out there and you're like, look at me, I'm a showstopper. Come in the door. Even if they don't end up coming into offer night and you have to do a cancel relist, that home is in the back of their mind. They're still thinking about it at other showings. And odds are they'll come back after the offer night and bring you an offer.
And you've also left the gates with momentum. So to your point, you've got the eyes on it, you've got the momentum. And then if, you know, the process doesn't quite unfold, you've still got that momentum of all those people within the back of their mind that you can make the pivot. If you're aspirational, you're lacking the momentum, you don't really have anybody in the queue, and then you're like starting from negative. You're not starting from positive. So I think that's so true.
And you also have to remember different pockets of the city, different types of property classes have a different lift. Yeah. I think that's the best way to phrase it.
Yeah.
So when we say it has a different lift, it means if, for example, a house in whatever area, I can list it for $599 or I can list it for $1 million and I will get $2 million or I'll get $4 million or I get whatever. The lift is different. But there's certain pockets that doesn't allow for that much of a lift. People in there are conditioned to like, we go 50,000 over, we go 100,000 over. So your agent has to be plugged in on like, this area is seasoned to understand that we're about 150 away from the price. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you grossly underprice, which, you know, don't always do. Agents get really pissed, and so do clients. And sometimes you like reasonably underprice to get people excited. It's a marketing price.
Absolutely.
It's a price that says, come in and see me. And then after you do your research, because every agent's going to do their research on the other side too, you will determine what the property is worth, and then you'll bring us an offer as well. Doesn't mean the listing agent doesn't know the price. Like, we know what it's worth, or
and I
a
think
range.
the really important thing about that lower price, if you are going to try that tactic, it's not the buy now price. That's what I always say to my clients, because they kind of look at me like, okay, we just had a conversation that I think my house is worth $1 million, and you just suggested $699. Like, did you miss a beat here? And I'm like, no, I haven't. I'm not. But the $699 isn't the buy now price. The $699 is the start your car price to come and have a conversation, to then be guided with comparables and market intel and insight and why we've done this, and have that dialogue to say, okay, here's actually what we're thinking. And then the market will decide. So let's jump back to your $699. What happened?
Oh, we don't know yet. I'm putting it up today. We'll know in a few weeks when we come back.
I was waiting for the drum roll.
No, but that was the conversation I had with the seller today.
But I'm having the same one right now. Again, with a condo, we've got to be really tactical. We're in a market, as we know, we've talked about this, that is so saturated with so many condos that I said, what about $399? And
I
same
love
thing.
a $399.
Eyeballs popped out of the head. Like, what are you talking about? $399? And my whole thing was, when is the last time you ever saw a condo listed for $399? Nothing sold for less than $5. Again, our target is roughly $5. But if we're going to get people to kind of start their car and get moving, we need a price that they're going to be like, wow, I should go and see this and
you gotta
see how
remember,
it trends.
If people don't come inside your property, they are not offering on your property.
No.
So we need something that says, start the car, get me inside the home.
Yeah.
The more people that you have that come into the property, the higher likelihood you have of selling. And the more people that you have that come in, the higher the price usually will tend to be.
Okay, so we have a $699 and a $399 report
And
back
let me
on.
tell you, the 399s work wonders, but people get really pissed.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I'm not talking about agents, because agents understand it, but when you throw an open house, are you doing an open house on that one?
I don't know that I'm going to put myself in it after this. This is like a PSA.
Okay, when you do an open house on a 399, speaking as someone that has experience at listing at 399, because I do believe in feeding frenzies in certain markets, and like in certain cases, there's 10 in the building and I'm the only one sold because I did a feeding frenzy.
Well, I mean, listen, the building that I'm dealing with right now, the most comparable, if you will, has been listed since March. They've had 4 showings. Like,
and I
it's
guarantee it though that they haven't done the staging and it doesn't look perfect, and you would not have listed it the way it is.
You know what?
Tell
It
me-
actually, they've done it all. It's a tricky, stale market, and there's 4 or 5 other listings in the building as well. And so I think it's a little bit of a combination of it's gotten stale, like we've talked about. They've had their price. They started aspirational, then they worked down, then they worked down. And the hard part is there's not a lot of comparables in the building. So it's not like we can at least say, okay, unequivocally, the price per foot for a north-facing unit with a balcony is X, because there really isn't anything to go off of in the last year.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit to your point of like, okay, how do we get the eyeballs on it? Because if we do the strategy that will work in most market, which is stage it, price it right, and put it up, it's not going to do what we need it to do.
So going back to that whole like 399 and open houses, you'll get people that will come in that will be actually angry with
scared.
you. No, it's a thing. But look, you're an agent, you know this, thick skin, but people will come in and be like, 399, do you actually want that? And they'll actually be angry with you. I'm going to bring you 399 right now. Are you going to take it?
No.
Like, that's what they're going to say. And then I put like some of my newer agents at these open houses.
Well, that's nice of you. You're warning me like a veteran with thick skin.
No.
And meanwhile, you're like, here,
But
lovely
look,
new
what,
agent.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I truly believe that. And you have to be able to deal with like the objection. So if someone
for
comes
sure.
in and says like 399, is this actual real? Like, what's your answer? And the answer is, listen, the market's a little off right now. It's a marketing strategy.
It's a strategy.
It's to get eyeballs into the property. At this moment, I'm representing the seller, and it's in the seller's best interest to get the most amount
Absolutely.
of people in here.
But I
I'm
think
like,
the key words is marketing strategy. I mean, at the end of the day, we are marketing a property. That is our job. It is our job to show it in the best possible light for the most amount of money and do the best that we possibly can for the client, which in the case of a listing is the seller. And that is effectively marketing to a T. And that's our job. Yes, it's to sell houses, but it's frankly almost equally as important to have a marketing hat on as it is to have a real estate hat on.
look, if the house is not presented properly, like the most important factor, and we've talked about this multiple times.
Yeah.
Anytime you're selling a house, price. Because every single property will sell for the right price.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter anything else. If it's priced right, it will sell.
Yeah. And
That's a
then
fact.
I think if you want that perfect blend to push price, it's price and presentation. And if you're pricing and presenting with, some synergy, that's your best, that's your
the sweet
best
spot.
shot of getting that sweet spot.
100%. Well, we have a special episode up next week. We have
Yes.
Tia Slidham coming in. We're talking all things moving with children. We've just hit September. We might as well have a parenting expert come on and tell us When should we be moving our kids? How do we deal with our kids in showings? And I think it's going to be an exciting episode.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait because I see so many clients kind of going, oh my gosh, how do I do this? How do I do bedtime? How do I do showing? So Tia is going to be a wealth of knowledge.
Once again, it's Elena Saradidis.
And Erica Reddy-Choquette.
And this was Property Playbook. If you like content like this, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe.